What's up again, my friends? How's everybody doing today? Hopefully well. You know, it's a little bit warmer out today than yesterday, so I decided to come make a video outside. And to be perfectly honest, I have no notes in front of me, but I have a general discussion I would like to spit into the camera. And hopefully you gain something from it. But first I wanted to say, you know, a lot of these thoughts I had written down on paper over the last week, and my intention was to make a Sunday podcast. You know, the ones I've made in the past, I'm calling it somewhat like Carpo's Sunday School, and that's not meant to be derogatory or an insult or a jab at religion, but rather the idea that Sunday school, in the sense of learning something each Sunday, is something that's important to me. Sunday is a special day to me, and I don't know why, but I just made it a special day. I figured, well, if it's already a day a lot of people have off, why not make it my own? And I feel the same way about holidays and, you know, life in general. Everything is what you make it. Now, I've been making videos for a long time, and I've had a variety of subjects. When I sat down to talk about this, this whole list of ideas I wanted to talk about, I just couldn't bring myself to speak on the microphone. For some reason, I'm just more interested in talking on camera and making video. So I think it's just easier. I feel like I connect with the audience better. And hopefully you feel the same way. But podcasts do make it easier for me to put pictures in the background to explain where I'm coming from, and as well allow me more freedom on the microphone to hit pause if I need to, because I'm not very good at editing and I don't have a program. So I'll go on because I'm rambling here. I wanted to talk about loneliness. I wanted to talk about why we feel the way we feel. And I'm going to cover this more in depth when I do the podcast, but I think this is an important topic. You know, depression and anxiety, suicide, these things run rampant in our society, and they're only getting worse. And we can ask ourselves why. We can give a myriad of reasons why this is happening. The mental health issue, some of the drugs that are given for mental health can actually cause as well, you know, worse depressive symptoms or suicidal thoughts. But we can't attribute the whole of society's grievances to just what's going on with the medical world. We have come a long way as a species. Excuse me. We have come a long way as a species, and as far as medical advancements and technology, and through the past, we had a lot of anxiety because of war, because we were afraid our lands would be invaded, because we didn't have enough food for the winter. These were things that we tend to overlook in the West now. And there are plenty of places in the world where they still worry about whether they're going to be able to eat. And there are people in this country who are, you know, worried about whether they can eat. But I would say in general in the West, we're able to at least keep our people fed if they choose to go out and seek food. We've become lazy in the West, in a way. But this isn't about that. This is about why we have become so opposed to each other. And I want to start out with a small story about the Inuit. The Inuit is an Indian tribe, okay? They're sparsely, you know, throughout the northern area and the south of the Arctic Circle there. In Greenland specifically, there are, I believe, around 16,000 Inuits living there. No, I'm sorry. In Greenland, there are 51,000 Inuits living there. And apparently that is somewhere around 89% of the population is of the native people that live there. Now, Greenland is owned by Denmark. And Denmark still has a high native population there too, because a lot of the native Greenlanders actually migrated over to Denmark. So they have about 0.5% of the population who is native. So you've got the Danes who are blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Then you've got the native Greenlanders who are, you know, dark-skinned. And there's, you know, judgment and racism just like anywhere else. There are no perfect countries. But the point I wanted to make was what happened to the tradition and the history of the Inuits who lived in Greenland before they were invaded, or rather before they were dominated by Denmark. there was a documentary I watched. It wasn't very long. It was a short little, I think it was part of a different, another, something about Greenland or whatnot. But it really moved me. And they talked about the Icelandic or the Greenland tribes that had lived there. And what happened is there's not a lot of industry up there. But there was a time when whites moved in and they used the native labor, and the people were happy to have jobs. This is a tribe that had been fighting the elements, for 1,000 years or however long they'd been living there. That they had learned to deal with the brutal winters by, preparing and getting blubber, and it's a tough life. But they had a tight community. And what happened was, after there became stores and everything was available for them to purchase, now alcoholism, depression, and suicide run rampant in these villages, which used to be tight-knit communities. And it's really sad. People living in their own homes, not interacting the way they once did, abandoning their culture. And if that sounds familiar, just look no farther than in my country, the United States of America, and the Native American cultures, and how there's alcoholism and domestic abuse and kidnappings just run rampant within the communities because they've been so oppressed for so long. And this isn't really about blame or saying, oh no, these people have been oppressed. That's a huge issue. I want to focus on the aspect of all of us, where we're all coming from. If you don't have any type of community in your life, if you don't have a bond with somebody or something in your life, life can be very difficult. And I'd like to say that I woke up this morning and I remember I said, I'm so lucky to have a fucking family that I do. A wife and 3 wonderful boys, a mom that loves me, a brother. We may not always get along at all times. We may not all agree on every topic at every moment, but we respect each other. And that's all you can ask for. And we respect each other because we live in the same community, in our home. And I thought, this is the problem that we have, is now that we are so distantly communicated through such far reaches, it's easy for us to just point the finger at other cultures or other groups of people and assume that we are better somehow, instead of respecting that everyone has their own culture. What's up, bro? Oh, man. Whoops. I really want to get out my telescope now and film that crow. He's a noisy bugger. I love crows. So anyhow, pretty much my rant is over here. I wanted to talk about community, and I wanted to just let people know that, in my opinion, one of the things that we've lost is community. We've lost that connection. But even when you have it, even when you have a family that loves you and neighbors that you don't mind, I guess if we can tolerate your neighbors, you're better off than a lot of the people who hate their neighbors. It's sad how divided we've become. And that's going to be for the future video. Just how much we've been pushed apart through this idea that what we need to do is make more money and have more progress. Capitalism is going to save us. But you start talking about that and people start getting offended somehow because they wrap their whole lives up in money and 401ks. And with what's going on right now with the economy and the stock market, it means nothing to me. I could care less, because all that matters to me is family and living. So I'm like, people say your life will be affected if the economy goes downhill. Like, well, maybe, but I can grow my own food if I need to, and I'll find a way. We just find a way. But what's going on right now in the world, the division that we have and the wars that we have, and the amount of innocent people that are affected by policies that they have no part in, it's just not working. And so I think that that's the underlying message here, is community is what we need. We need to respect each other. We need to respect the world that we live in and respect the planet, your environment. It's just amazing how fucking selfish people are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Talk to you later.